we know how important it is for us to be successful professionally, um, achieving promotions, being promoted at work, uh, hitting those targets that we are always given at our workplace is very important. But equally important is the life that we have when we return to our homes. When we are from our workplaces, we return to our homes. And so it's also important to think about how we relate with those who we stay with at our homes. And, after all the praises at our workplaces, after all the titles that we receive at our workplaces, we return back home. And so it's important that we are able to harmonize the two, the work and also our families. And at TPC, we believe that it's not only important to be prosperous at work only. It's not very much important to only receive accolades at our workplaces, or to be given those titles at our places, or to receive different certificates, and yet back at our homes it's not um, coming out in a better way that we would want to have it. But rather, we want our members, or those people who listen to us, to be able to build very strong relationships, meaningful relationships, which actually act as a catalyst that actually, in the end, multiplies the way we succeed in our careers. So it's important that you've taken this decision to be on this call, and I'm very excited. And also, for the person who is going to share with us this evening, I'm so excited about this engagement we're going to have and what we're going to benefit from it. I believe that by the end of this engagement, we are not going to remain the same. Yeah, so I'm going to share briefly. I'm sorry I'm having some cold, but I pray that you'll be able to listen through to understand exactly what I'm talking about and what God has prepared for us this evening. I'm going to share a brief about our speaker for today, and who is none other than Coach Diana. I'm just going to share a brief about her, and I believe she will come through to give us more of a guidance. But before I share about her, recently there is an article I read that she wrote last year, which I believe that relates with what we are going to discuss about today. She wrote about the, 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 the inner jungle of entrepreneurship, and the predators that most people have, that they get limited, because of those different predators that are hidden within them. And so a need for a mindset shift is very necessary if we are to break the camp and to advance. And so when she wrote about that, I was really, empowered and changed. My mindset became really different. The way I perceived things and how I now perceive things is a little different. To know that actually my mindset can hold me back. It can hold me back from receiving what I actually can be able to receive if I change, or I have a shift in the way that I think. And so I am going to share a brief about her, and I believe it will give us a picture of the kind of person we are going to listen to and how actually he's been helping others to achieve and also gain their potential, which equally relates to us, to what we can achieve if we put this that we're going to discuss into action for our own benefit. Yes, about Coach Diana, she's the CEO of Bloom Solutions, which is a leadership and behavioral consultancy that helps organizations and teams to build capacity, strengthen culture, and improve performance through behavior intelligence. She's a certified John Maxwell team coach. She's a speaker and a disco behavior consultant. Her work focuses on leadership development, emotional resilience, and sustainable high performance. And with over a decade of experience, working both in leadership development and family counseling, Diana brings a unique perspective on how personal life and professional performance intersect. She integrates evidence-based frameworks with practical leadership principles and frameworks to help leaders succeed without burning out. Diana has been married to Mr. Erasmus Mahere for 15 years, and together they have been blessed with 3 children, which is Elizabeth, Eliezer, and Elisha. She speaks not only from a professional expertise with that background, a lived experience, and her mission is very simple. It's to help professionals lead well at work and thrive at home and build legacies that last. So friends, as we have made this very important decision to be on this call, let us be reminded that we are on the right course, be it those who are married and those who are not. This session is important for all of us. For those who are at home, you can pick a cup of coffee and sit and start sipping, for we need to be comfortable, not to miss anything from what we are going to share. How we are going to move on with this session, we managed to capture some of the questions that our members shared on our platform. And so we are going to be able to speak, into those questions, but also we have an interest in those that are here online. We want to know some of the expectations that you have. For those that have some expectations, for those that are having questions, I request that you kindly share them through the chat so that we can be able to satisfy most of our needs here, for those that are on this call and for others that will keep following us through our different social media platforms. Kindly share through those expectations and some of the questions that you have, so that we shall be able to keep following through them to make sure that by the end of this call, we shall have spoke life into them, and God will guide us to make sure that by the end of it all, we shall all be blessed and that we shall benefit from this engagement that we are going to have. So before I invite our guest speaker, I will request that you take this time to type through the chat so that we can be able to know some of your expectations and some of the questions that you have, so that after she finishes the preamble that she's going to make, we shall be able to move through them, also using the guided questions that we have, that we received from our group, so that wholesomely we shall be able to speak life into our lives, those who are on the call and those different people that will be following us through the different social media platforms. So thank you so much, friends. We are hoping that this is going to be participatory engagement. We shall have a time of question and answers for those that want to speak. But to make sure that we also capture everything, please, in the chat, use it well so that we can be able to speak life into all for all that are here, so that we shall be able to speak life into each one of us. So thank you so much, and I'll take this very opportune moment in time to invite our guest speaker as she gives us the preamble. I request that you join me kindly with an online applause as we request Diana to begin off from here. Thank you so much. You're
Thank
welcome,
you,
Coach.
Thank you, Keith. I am excited to be here. Kindly stop sharing that screen. All right.
Okay.
Thank you. Good evening, friends. I am very excited to be here. And Keith, you're doing very well with regards to moderation, save for the cold. That was a very good and I think detailed introduction. I'm not new to most of the members here, so I really feel that maybe I could summarize for them that in brief or in summary, what I do, I help leaders optimize human behavior. And when we talk about optimizing human behavior, I am just talking about not just the boardrooms, not just in the marketplaces. I'm talking about, in homes. I'm talking about our social lives. Why do we do what we do, and how best can we maximize our potential? I am excited in particular about this topic, how family relationships shape professional success. And for me, having worked in the family ministry for over a decade now, it's not just about work or helping people. This is part of my calling on earth, inspired by my own journey in marriage for 1.5 decades now, and through my parenting journey. But also on the professional aspect of it, I have come to appreciate that the best leadership school in the world is family. So being a leadership coach or a leadership consultant and integrating family in leadership is such a sweet spot for me. So going to today's topic, I want to begin it off by asking us just a few questions or demystifying some myths. Did you know that employees who actively transfer skills, positive moods, and even energy from their family life into their workplaces psychology has called this a family to work enrichment. Did you know that these employees are 21% more productive? That's according to American Psychological Association. And that's research is speaking into what you learn and build at home, directly making you better at your job or at your workplace. The other shocking, proven, or evidence-based fact is what we call the 80-20 rule of competence. Did you know that research shows that while we study for technical skills, they only account for 20% of professional success? The other 80%, which has the emotional intelligence, the resilience, conflict resolution, the communication, and all these other skills that help us at work, is capital harvested from your family environment. Thank you, Charity. The other amazing fact for the parents in the room, did you know that 90% of a child's brain develop, did you know that 90%, yes, of a child's brain development happens before age 5? In psychology, we call that the window of impact, or for those who are planning to be parents. Now, the other amazing fact that I came across is called the healthy gap. According to a Harvard Business Review, the study reveals that professionals in high conflict home environments face a 40% higher risk of burnout. So that is regardless of how demanding your job or your work is, as long as your home environment is a high conflict one, or if it is stressful, or if you're not at terms, on the good terms, you have a 40% higher chances of burnout. I believe we all appreciate where we are now, what burnout can cause us to be or to do. Now, for the fathers in the house, I want to see the fathers wave, because this is another interesting fact. The fathers in the house, where are you? I am not seeing the fathers. At least I'm sure Coach Samuel is a Salongo. All right. For the fathers in the house, culture, I know, has taught us that over-engaging in your family with your children can be a professional distraction, at least some culture or tradition. But engaged fatherhood is a catalyst for leadership. So those of us, the fathers that are looking to leadership development, here is the fact. Fathers who are directly involved in their children's lives often develop significantly higher levels of emotional intelligence and patience. And that correlates with a 15 to 20% increase in leadership effectiveness. When we are rating them at the workplace, these particular fathers that are involved in their children's lives or highly involved back home in their families, they have a 15 to 20% increase in leadership effectiveness. So being a better parent, being an involved father, being an involved husband makes you a better leader. John Maxwell, who by God's grace is my mentor, but a renowned worldwide leadership guru, has defined leadership as influence. So when we're talking about a better leader at the workplace, we are not just looking at positions, we are looking at your ability to influence. And I hope that can be something we can talk in detail about. So if we accept that our personal relationships are not a distraction, but a driver of professional success, how then do we visualize this integration? And that's the foundation, or that's the basis of this conversation. So now, Kathy, you can share that screen. So I want to summarize or share this topic using just this picture that our moderator is going to share. And I came up with a framework that I called the 3 pillars of integrated success. I'm waiting for Keith to share the screen so that we are able to follow through when I am explaining. Okay, it seems to be delaying. I hope I will just go along. All right, thank you, Charity. Maybe you could expand it, zoom it so that you see the words are a little bit, yeah. So this is the picture that is just going to help us appreciate the impact of the relationship between family relationships and professional success. Now, when we talk about family relationships and professional success, I know that quite a number of people or a number of messages out there have talked about these two, if I call them items, as different or aspects as different. And that is what most people end up talking about as life-work balance. Now, if I'm able to tap into my background of physics, there's what we call the equilibrium. For us, in order to attain a state of equilibrium, then we must be having 2 opposite sides. We can use the right and the left. And for balance to happen, going back a little bit to the physics class, the left side should be equal in terms of weight or force or mass, but mass is physically not correct. but the two sides should be equal in terms of weight. Now, when we talk about life-work balance, that statement itself should be redesigned or rephrased to work-life integration or alignment. Because balance happens when we have two opposing sides. The way we were created, we were not created to have life different from work. Work is a component of our life. So we cannot pull out work from our life and put it aside and try to balance them. So that is the foundation where we find that we are missing the point. The moment you want to put them on a balance, then we are missing the point. Yeah. So this integration or this framework, what that I called the 3 pillars of integrated success, help us appreciate this concept of work-life integration. Now, I want you to look at this picture as a tree. The first component of this triangle is psychological safety. Look at psychological safety as a root. Now, the psychological safety happens at home. It doesn't matter whether you are married or unmarried or single and searching like some of my friends here, or you're dating, or you don't have any plan of those. Yeah? Every human being has a family. They have a relationship because we are relational beings. So at least there is an aspect of somewhere where you belong. And if we are looking at identity, identity is formed back home in the families. So you will find that the people at the workplace that are struggling with identity challenges, they have their roots at home, and that is where it should be fixed, not at work. Now, going back to our root, which is our home, that provides psychological safety, a supportive home, where you find that you are a member of a home and you feel supported, you feel valued, you feel like you have a belonging, you feel secure, you feel loved. That root or that environment causes you to be stable. So when we are talking about emotional maturity, a major component in emotional intelligence that we need at the workplace, we go back home and assess how is the home environment. So when your home is able to provide these aspects, these foundational aspects of psychological safety, then you will find that you have higher chances of thriving at the workplace than someone who has the opposite. When you have psychological safety back at home in your family relationships, then it becomes an emotional buffer which frees up your cognitive energy. Now, when your cognitive energy is freed, what do you bring to table? You bring to table full focus. That means your creativity and innovative thinking are fully at work. Therefore, this pillar of psychological safety that we can only get from family is where your professional resilience is formed or forged. So that is pillar number one, the pillar of psychological safety that comes from the homes. The second pillar, if you zoom in a little bit, is what I called building the boundary fluidity. And I used fluidity intentionally because it's meant to be a permeable pillar. It allows elements to pass through. It does not block anything. We are still looking at our tree analogy, whereas the psychological safety, the family environment is the root. The boundary fluidity is the trunk, the tree trunk, or in simple terms, what we would call the stem, but call it as a trunk, because a stem is, sometimes a little bit small and, yeah. But the trunk, it has matured, it is big, it is long enough, it is strong enough to support what is up, but also what is down. I have already talked about the work-life balance aspect. So the trunk is not a rigid balance, but it implies it implies integration, that fluidity aspect. So just like the trunk of a tree, it allows resources to flow through freely. Just like the trunk of a tree, the resources from the roots should be able to go through the trunk, reach the leaves, and lead to fruits. So that means consciously using your work achievements and skills to enrich your home life. If the trunk is going to allow resources to flow through up and down, it is implying that you use your work achievements to enrich your home life. So there's nothing like separating the two. The boundaries are really, really permeable. But on the other side, it also means that you, who is at the workplace, is drawing strength and lessons from your family and your experiences as you are growing in under that umbrella of the family to enhance your professional success. I hope we are still moving together. I'd appreciate any questions that come through. So we're saying the home environment and the workplace, whether you're self-employed, whether you're employed, whether you are an entrepreneur, it is the same. The principles are the same. It is about creating a permeable environment, but yet with respectful boundaries. Those respectful boundaries, remember, I said they should be able to influence the flow in both directions. So it's not that when I am at work, my home or whatever I pick from home is useless. And hopefully this helps some of us who have spouses that are back home and they are providing this unmonetized resources of emotional maturity, feeling loved, a source of identity, a base of identity, that supportive system. If we were to monetize that, it could actually be greater than your job or the technical skills that you're using. From your experiences, you could probably testify that when you have stress, either from your parents or your girlfriends and boyfriends and spouses, that performance at work is compromised. No matter how much you pretend, you can fake it, but deep inside, you will feel like you're actually crashing. And that's part of the jungle that I wrote about in the article that Keith was talking about. So the last pillar, which is the pillar that I called the legacy mindset. Now, this is the fruit. Remember, we have the root, the trunk. Now we have the fruit. Our tree starts with the root, then goes to the trunk, the leaves, and then the fruit. This is at the top, and it is the fruit of integrated success. It's about viewing your professional success not as an end in itself, but as a powerful resource that enables the flourishing of your family, your community, or your own long-term well-being. So when your career progress is consciously aligned, please mark the word aligned. When your career progress is consciously aligned with creating a meaningful legacy, whether it's financial security, whether it's time freedom, whether it's modeling valuable ethics for your children, whatever it is, the result is a deep sense of purpose and fulfillment. And that can only be achieved when those three pillars are integrated. And I believe on this call, our focus is really not just identical success that some schools of thought have phrased as success at the workplace. Yeah? And failing back home. Back in the day, our fathers and grandfathers were taught to be men, not to laugh at home, not to play with the children, not to engage in any family activity. They would go hunting, they are out there all day, and the woman is taking care of the home, taking care of the children. And even those who were formerly employed and they were solely at the workplace, they spent most of the time at the workplace. When they came home, they were as well as not there. They were physically there, but not present. Yeah. The long-term effect is you have not created a relationship with your children. You've not created a relationship with your wife. You have not created a relationship with your siblings. It is about work, 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 survival. And so what happens when you retire? You go back to nothing because you never invested anything there. So my dear friends, this conversation right now is as important as more than ever. We need to invest wisely, and investing wisely means ensuring that all the aspects of our lives, especially the family relationships, are integrated with our work perspective. Because professional success that is built on the ashes of broken homes, of broken family relationship, is not success, but it is a delayed liability. Thank you very much. Back to you, Keith.
Yeah, thank you so much, Coach, for this preamble and opening remark of our engagement this evening. Indeed, it has been mind-opening. We've grasped the context actually in a rather more different way, but more open way for us to know actually that this is for us to be transformed, to change. And I believe, and that's what TPC stands for, that we are able to attend these kind of trainings so that we can learn and unlearn so many things that we think that we should continue to cling on, which actually relates to the other article that you wrote about the inner jungle of entrepreneurship, where we need to break the cycle of the enclave of the mindset that we usually are in, to get out of that kind of mindset that holds us back, the being perfectionists, being people who fear to fail, all those different things. The way we perceive things is actually how we do them. And so thank you for opening for us to know that our psychological safety is important and we cannot get it from any other place, which is better than our families. Our families are very important. The safety, the psychological safety that we have as individuals, multiplies and paves the way to how we relate with people outside of you know, um, our families, how we even do our work. So we need to be able to allow, the resources of the roots to pass through the trunk to the fruits. It's very important that that balance, the harmony that is required for us to have for our work and professional careers to be successful, and having our consciousness aligned is very important, because like you said, it is sad to go back to nothing, going back home and finding people you actually are not connected with. It's painful. And TPC also doesn't measure the success of our professional careers in that kind of way. TPC encourages our ability to build meaningful relationships with our families, because in that way it cultivates and multiplies the way our professions can be successful. So it's important that actually we are able to integrate the two, our work life and our families. Integration is important, and actually understanding how we are able to use the strength of our family relationships to multiply our professional or career development and success. So thank you so much, Coach, for this very important opening remarks, and I believe all of us have been able to have that open mind of how we need to have an integration between our careers and our families. And so we are going into a session which we realize that actually is speaking to what most of us are having at our hearts. through the questions we received through our platform. And also, as I still wait upon the different questions you're going to put in the chat, please use the comment section to put your questions, and also give some of your expectations so that by the end of this, we shall have satisfied most of us. So I'm going to request our keynote speaker today to define for us success, how in a way that we shall be able to understand that how our definitions of success at home and at work shape the decisions we make professionally. Coach, this is the question to you, that how
Okay.
do our definitions, our personal definitions of success at home, how they shape the decisions we make professionally? Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you. When our personal definitions back home define success the wrong way, we definitely find ourselves off track. One of my dear authors in the leadership and family spaces, the late Miles Monroe, wrote and said that when the purpose of something is unknown or not clearly defined, abuse or its abuse is inevitable. So when you do not actually know what true success is, there are high chances that you'll just meander in this world and end up nowhere or end up in the wrong path. I'll use the definition that John Maxwell has used to define success, not as a title, not as how much property you have achieved, but true success as a relational aspect. And he has defined success as knowing your purpose, growing your potential, and sowing seeds that benefit others. 3 aspects here: knowing your purpose, growing your potential, and sowing seeds that benefit others. Now, this takes us back to self-awareness. And the very first foundation of self-awareness is back home. Yeah? We have had a number of professionals struggle with limiting beliefs that were ingrained in their minds back home. And no matter what you tell them, no matter what level of, if we are talking about positional leadership, which is really the lowest level of leadership, but most people tend to interpret as actual leadership. But even then, even if they were the CEOs, even if they were the presidents, what was ingrained in their mind will always limit them. You know, you can never, your leadership level cannot grow beyond how you see yourself. So when we are talking about how we define success, if your definition of success is just, for example, at the workplace, then you will find that you will neglect your family, you neglect whether immediate or distant family, you neglect the community, and you focus on work, work, work. Such kind of a person is going to really struggle psychologically. They're going to struggle mentally. But again, there is no amount of money friends that can satisfy a human being. Right back. The one which is brown and black. Sorry, my son was asking something. Trying to integrate work and family.
It's okay.
So we're saying that when you invest in one side of family or work, based on your definition of success, then the other side suffers. Yet both are really important. We need what we get from work to sustain the family, but we need what we can get from the family to sustain, to help us become more productive. When you find that your professional work cannot support your life, or it cannot improve the life of those you love, then it is task-based success, not life success. As human beings, we are relational beings. Even the list of an introverted person, the list of an introverted person in the entire life, they influence, they relate with 10,000 individuals. So what happens when we ignore the family aspect? We already talked about that. What happens when we only concentrate on the family and neglect work? I think we've already talked about that. So ensure that when you're talking about success, it's not one-sided, because what is success that does not leave a footprint? And the footprints are actually in the hearts of the people that you relate with. It's unfortunate that some of us, we are very good to others, but when it comes back home, we are different. May I encourage us to begin being more intentional and ensuring that we take into consideration impacting positively, that our family members feel seen, they feel supported, they feel valued, they feel they feel that they belong and they are proud to be a part of our lives. That is the definition of success that I believe that when it is run with, it actually provides life success. Thank you, Keith.
Wow, wow. Thank you so much, Coach. That was really exhaustive. It's important indeed to be able to, understand that how we define things actually affects how we implement and do things. So we need not to invest in one side, and then we shouldn't neglect another side, because indeed, like you've said, human beings, we are relational beings. We feel safe when we are surrounded by people who we can easily relate with. And so if we concentrate and strengthen one side, which mostly is where money is coming from, then we neglect the other side, which we at most times think that it is the spending side, we are losing it. And so thank you for bringing it out. Something that stood out for me here is that we need to know our purpose. Then we develop and grow our potential in the purpose that we have. And then we grow the seeds that are going to transcend into the lives of others. And so we need to have a purpose. that is going to not only benefit us, only us professionally in our careers, but also all these other people that are attached to us, which are our family. It's very important that even as we work, we know that in the end of it all, we shall need to come back home and probably celebrate with those people that we love. So it's important not to have indeed only work-life balance, but to harmonize the work-life balance, to strike a balance between the two in a way of integration, knowing that we need both and can thrive through both, not just being good at work and yet at home we are like lions. Really, thank you so much. This has been really, really mind-opening, and I believe that we have taken this up, different people, all of us in different ways, but in that kind of way that is helpful to us. And so I'm going to the next question, which is a little different from the other questions I see they are a little similar to what you've been sharing and you've responded to them. There is another question that is talking about work culture and identity. And it goes that how should professionals navigate workplace cultures that measure commitment by presence rather than productivity? And this probably goes to some of us here that may be employers. There are people who monitor um, um, the success or the commitment of an employee towards their work um, in terms of presence, availability, rather than productivity. And these work cultures sometimes affects professionals. And so how can professionals be able to navigate through these cultures that measure commitment by presence rather than productivity? Thank you, Coach. Over to you.
Thank you, Keith. Those that have listened to me have at least now know that I had a very, very good relationship with my dad, and we used to joke around, quite a lot. And my father loved cars, and he made me love cars. And he used to tell me, Diana, being in the garage does not turn you into a car. Yeah. And I want to borrow that and say that this whole business of being at work for 10, 11, 12 hours, the business BUSY, yeah, mindset, it does not necessarily mean efficiency. It does not necessarily mean productivity. So if we are looking at work culture and identity, if I am to begin with the employers, I would encourage you to really shift from activity to accomplishment, because productivity is measured by results, not hours. I can't come at work and spend 5 hours on Instagram, on TikTok, on whatever, mention it. And I know this is one of the biggest complaints from employers, especially with the Gen Zs. Yeah. Someone is in office, they've clocked in, but they are not being productive, or they are just jazzing around, or are just, doing something else. Probably they're even using your office to do another job with the rise of remote work. So become so outcome focused that performance makes time tracking irrelevant to any sensible employer. And for the people that really integrate the home with work, they are more productive. They're really, really more productive. But for you who has this kind of boss, how do you deal with this? And I just want to think that, let me just share from my own experience, but tying into the principle that I just shared with you. For me, wherever I have worked, I have intentionally communicated my value over hours. Yeah. Intentionally, I communicate my value, my results. And when we are working together, I want to know, what results do you expect from me? What results do you expect from me? So that once I have delivered your results, there is nothing that you need from me. And you see, when you deliver the results, I want to believe that any sensible employer has no issues with you, because you have delivered. You have delivered. So your presence really is not so much of a performance metric, but your results. Your results, unless you are maybe a gatekeeper or a watchman, or there are other critical jobs that require your physical presence. Also, before you get into this job, you could actually ask them. You could ask them what it actually means for you to deliver. How do they measure your performance? And be clear, guys, you need to learn to stand for what you believe. You need to learn to stand for your values. If you know that you can deliver this something in 2 hours, why should someone keep you for 6 hours? But that also calls for you to learn to prioritize very, very well. On one of the mentorship calls, I have talked about the 80-20 principle, the Pareto principle. Go and understand it. How you can actually, what runs or your KPIs, you find that you just need to focus on only 20% of your KPIs to deliver 80% of what is expected from you. And that principle runs everywhere. And it should be able to even help us in balancing our homes with work, in that I can be at work for 8 hours, and when I come back home, 30 minutes are good enough for me to make an impact. Yeah. So it's not about being there fully, being there physically. What am I doing in the 30 minutes? Now, that could also relate back to the home environment. And let me use the home environment. Here we have a no phone policy at the dinner table. When we are eating dinner, even if you are the president and you call, I will not pick, because we use that moment to catch up, to laugh, to enjoy our meal, or to just be present there. But also, when it is time for family, or when, like now, I reached about 10 minutes or 15 to the call with the boys, and I told them I have a call, and they've given me time, but they know after the call, I have to put all gadgets away and we shall become silly. So creating that culture where people know that when Diana is around, she's going to deliver, but afterwards she's off. They have no challenges with you. But also, for you who has such kind of a work environment or a boss, we've talked about the 80-20 principle, learning to identify what is the 20% that I need to focus on that will give me 80% results or rewards. You need to do that 80 to 80, the 20%, that value work early in the morning. Yeah, when you arrive, early in the morning when you arrive, so that you start with it and later on in the day, you can always use to earn your social capital to live on time. But also, there are some professionals, and this has to do with the steady personality or the ones that we could relate with the phlegmatic. Those ones have big challenges with saying no. And because naturally they want to impress everyone, they want everyone to feel good, they want everyone to feel okay. You'll find that if Samuel is saying, Dana, I need to take my baby for immunization, could you help me do this? Could you help me finalize this report? I'll pick it on. When Keith comes and says, oh, Dana, I have a graduation, all those excuses that we can always have, by the not excuses, but valid reasons. And you find Diana is just receiving and you're overwhelmed. And because you want, you naturally, you do not want to make your colleagues sad. It even happens in the families. You prioritize their work. You don't do yours and end up delivering on their behalf. But guess what? The praise is given to those other colleagues and your work is ignored. So create clear boundaries. Don't be a yes man or a yes woman. Yeah? And bosses, the other thing is bosses are going to value you, and not just bosses, but people around you will value you based on the value that you attach to yourself. So when you show that for you, you're a boundless person, we shall utilize you. So define it. There is no wrong, even in the interview room, saying, demanding to know what are the confines, what are the clear expectations in terms of time, and asking if I finished my work early, for example, can I go and check on my family? Because you see, employers that have appreciated this concept of integration, they know that someone who has a stable family, that and if they are performers, if it is talent, if they are talented people, that person, they can easily retain them when back home they are stable, and they deliver more when they are more stable at home. So do not fear. Here is the other thing that is related to boundaries. Please define your values. Define your values. It's okay if you don't value family, but if you value family, speak about it. I know in the corporate space, people don't, I think it must have been Cassidy Godfrey who has talked about it in the chat. When people are introducing themselves, people have families, they have children, they are married, and they shy away from talking about it. And I wonder, why? Now, Jimmy has shared something in the chat that is very, very interesting. having free buses at work. But for him, instead of waiting for free transport, he leaves at exactly 5 p.m. because the 3K transport to my home is cheaper than the 2 hours of my time. Thank you, Jimmy. I wish I could give you a handshake. You see, that's appreciating. That's appreciating the value of your time, appreciating your value as an individual before you appreciate your family, by the way. So friends, and here is an interesting research that I found out, that productivity is going to decline sharply beyond 55 hours per week. And that's an average of 9 hours per day if you work 6 days, and 11 hours per day if you work 5 days. This is evidence-based facts we are talking about. And the ones that work overtime will tell you that they reach home when they are depleted. All they want is to sleep. They cannot even eat the meal at home. They cannot even realize that there was a security danger at home. Like, things go wrong and they cannot realize it. So, okay, that's my input on that aspect.
Wow. Thank you so much, Coach. That was really, really exhaustive. Indeed, loving to drive doesn't make you a car. We need to know to have those boundaries that secure our relationships with our families, but as we also succeed at our workplaces. So thank you so much. That was really exhaustive of the question I had asked, and I hope it has had a similar value to others. I think at this time I will request some of our friends on the call. I don't want to take much of our time asking alone questions. I'm allowing like 2 questions from the audience so that if there's something burning that you would wish our coach to speak about, it can be addressed because we are remaining with only 13 minutes. This is an opportunity for you to ask a question so that we can have it answered. Please take this chance, our friends on the call, make use of this opportunity. Otherwise, I have very many questions I may take all the time and you don't get the opportunity.
So if
Yeah.
as our
Can
friends
raise your hand.
online organize themselves to ask questions, there's an interesting question that attracted my attention from the person who was foregoing distant jobs to stay near family. And
Yeah.
for me, that communicated value that you really value so much. And when we are looking at research that was done on social support networks, it showed that proximity to trusted relationships predicts long-term psychological resilience. Now, again, that goes back to family, but also, like we mentioned, it requires that same family requires financial stability. So how do you go about it? That question was asked. Now, 3 questions that I would personally use, or that I have always used, because when I resigned from my job, I actually first sat home and became a stay-home mother, no matter the number of opportunities that I had. But the time I woke up to look for jobs again, all the jobs, because I was trying to shift my career from teaching to something else, all the job opportunities I got were outside Kampala. I had very little children. And I think also having lost some of my children made me become too attached, I want to think, to my children, in that every opportunity I get to spend with them or my family, I really value it. So these are the three questions that I would use always to judge whether a job is fits within whether a job qualifies. One, I would ask myself, does this long distance job build long-term capital? The next question I would ask whether that separation from my family was temporary or permanent. Because some jobs require you to go away for really, it's permanent, others are temporary, you can work around it. And then the other question I would ask, is there a structured plan for family connection? Because the person who asked this commented that some of the bosses want them to stay over the weekend and have no family time. And lastly, this would be what would help me sieve out. I would ask myself, is the money I am going to make from this job enough to help me apologize to my children and husband in the future? Over to you, Keith.
Wow, wow, wow. Thank you so much, Coach. That was a powerful question. That is so intriguing. Yeah, thank you. I see Asimwe's hand is up. Please, Asimwe, please take the floor and ask your question or make a supplement. Thank you. Hello, Asimwe. Could you be having a question or a comment to make?
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. The only challenge I had, the case that I had been, it was the host to unmute me, so it took me time. Thank you. But anyway, I think you can hear me.
Yes, yes, please.
Yeah, thank you very much, Coach Diana, for the presentation. My question, I would like to ask you, I want to hear your comment. I'm eagerly want to hear your comment about the rising feminism around the world that subscribe that, that family is not one of the, being successful in life. I want to get your comment about it, just a comment or something of that nature. Otherwise, thank you very much.
Thank you, Asimwe. I think I'm not the right person to answer that question, because with the statistics that part of my story that I have shared, I don't really support that. I know for a matter of fact that you cannot be successful without family. And I am not talking about just marrying, because I know today a number of people have chosen not to marry. That's okay, we respect your choice. But there is also a place for family relationships. At the end of the day, when you have achieved that success, where do you go to? And that's how we have very many people who are dying of stress and loneliness, because what they thought was the right thing to do, they discovered that they were deceived, they fell for a lie. So that whole feminism thing, I respect people's choices, but I am not the right candidate because I don't subscribe to it. But we can have that conversation Asimwe in detail.
Thank you very much.
If the questions are not coming, maybe in 1 minute I could talk to the mother. There was a new mother who talked about the 60 days of leave, of maternity leave. One of the things that I usually would do, two of my children are born in October, and that was intentional because I gave birth. No, I think I gave birth to the firstborn when I was still teaching. And so I would plan my giving birth. And I knew that if I gave birth in October, from October to December, early December, would be my maternity leave, part of my maternity leave. And then I would enjoy the December and January holidays as an addition to my maternity leave. So if you're looking at maternity leave and the exhaustion and the multitasking, you could work around your annual leave. Take it around the same time towards or after you have given birth. It could help you. But also, when you have given birth, concentrate on the baby. I know for the high achievers who try to be superwomen, you are not a superwoman. This world, you can only contribute a little. When you are on maternity leave, concentrate on your baby. Your body is going through a lot of hormonal changes, and there is a lot that goes through your mind. And that's why we suffer high chances of postnatal depression. Yeah? Only think about your work. For the stronger, those are really stronger psychologically, we advise that think about your work. Begin thinking about your work 14 days to the end of your maternity leave, but also you can think about your work 7 days. So we give it usually 7 to 14 days to start thinking about your work and preparing your mind. But for the rest of the days you're on maternity leave, use that time to heal, use that time to rest, use that time to deposit on the 90% of the baby, because the baby, much as they are not talking, they are observing and they are absorbing your energy, which impacts a lot on their brain development.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Coach. I believe that one has also been helped. But also we are strengthening our friend Proscovia Namakula. You can check the comment she's made in the comment section. And she's in a way showing that indeed taking much more time at our workplaces and then we avoid our families is not really that much worth it. But instead, we need to now have this shift on how we can be able to harmonize the two for us to be quote successful on what we are doing. So thank you. I want to request Victoria to make a comment, but also make a request to all of us. I don't know about you, Coach. There are so many questions that we still have. And I believe the members also have so many questions. I don't know whether it's possible for you that we can have more time. But as you can see, there are so many questions that we have not talked about, and which I believe that also the members have. I don't know on your side how possible we can have this before our friend asked the question. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Coach. This is Chanzi Victoria. I really appreciate Coach Diana. Thank you so much for this sharing. It has been really interesting and impactful, surely. There is something I love most you said about the family relationships, like whereby fathers, they need to create a good relationship with their family. But also, maybe to add on a bit, like there are those fathers who work, okay, I can say, how can I call it, safari work, and they are not always home, but then the mothers literally are the ones who are always there for their children, and at times they forget to tell the children that, oh, however much the father isn't around, but it's him who provides, you know. Then the other thing is, I'd like you to talk about this issue of employees who face this challenge at work. Like, you can find that this person wants to maybe to improve him or herself, but at the workplace, if the boss gets to know, he or she instead gives that person more work to do and literally keep him or her very busy at work and doesn't want this person to improve on him or herself. So I'd like to know what you talk about that. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Victoria. Keith, I can only add you 10 minutes. Whichever question is not addressed in that
Thank
time,
you.
we can consider having a session 2 of this topic to address, because I see the questions are still many, but maybe I can only respond to that, and the administration of TPC can reconsider having session 2. I hope, friends, that's okay, because we also must respect time. Now, Victoria, you asked something about the mothers. Now here this is something that I learned from my mother. The first 4 of us were born like 1 year or 1.5 years. So in a certain period of time, my dad used to do the safari kind of job. And so he was rarely home. So my mom realized she was getting overwhelmed with work, and she took a leave without pay. She was government employed. And for me, as I grew up, that was where I first appreciated the value of family. After some time, my dad became incapacitated due to an accident, and he could no longer bring in money. My father was quite rich. He could no longer bring in money, but business money, when you have not planned for continuity and put in place systems, then a business, as long as you're not okay, you're not physically fine, then you stop earning. And this is what happened to my father. And so his income started dwindling slowly by slowly. Now, when we're already now in school, all not adults, but already a little big, I think the last born must have been in around P3, my mother rejoined working. When she rejoined working, here is what I used to see her do later on. Saw her do, and from conversations with my dad, my mom would get money. Dad was not earning, save for a few rentals. And every time we wanted school fees, every time we wanted shopping money, because we were in boarding at that time in secondary, mommy would send us to go and ask from our father. And she had appreciated the role of leadership in a home and the role of a man as a provider. I had never seen them quarreling over money issues. So later on, I'm conversing with dad, and he say, well, if you ever get married, blah, 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 pick this from your mom. If your husband is not working, give him money. And this is what used to happen behind the scenes where we are not. Because at the end of the day, it is your money. Like we started with the 3 pillars of integrated success. If you have entered a partnership, a covenant of marriage, even when you're 2 individuals, you are one. So when I earn, it does not matter whether my husband is earning. If he's not earning at that time, the money I am bringing home can sustain the family. And that helped us shape our perspective around money in a family setting. It shaped our perspective about our father. We're still able to see him as our father who would provide. And that's why you'll find that, some of us are emotionally stable due to the identity we picked from our father. Please note that the biggest contributor of identity formation is from the fathers, not the mothers. And that's why even when life happens, you need a father figure in the life of that child. So Vicky, I think Vicky, that's my comment. And so you're the woman, walk around, be creative. You're on the same team. It's not that when children actually know that it's money, the money is coming from mommy, that's when they will appreciate you. No, when they grow up, they will actually judge you. Concerning the employer, if I remember the question, when they know that you're probably progressing, maybe that's the best time to reassess whether you need to be in that place. What family teaches us in the workplace, if you really want to have a fruitful professional, if you want to have a fruitful career, one thing should be clear before you sign up for that job. Ensure that your values are clearly defined and ask yourself, this job that I'm taking on, does the company, does the organization, do the organization values align with my values? If that is not in place, you will have constant battles within, and no matter what happens at that workplace, you'll always feel like you're not in the right place. So for such kind of an employer, I would reassess my time in that place.
Yeah, thank you so much, Coach. Victoria has also appreciated your submission, and most of us. Yeah, so we are coming to the close of our session, and I would want to thank you so much, Coach, for this time that you've given to us and for the knowledge that you've shared with us, and more so appreciating for this extra 10 minutes that you've given to us. We are really grateful. Sorry, my voice really got disturbed this session. I feel bad, but because TPC allows us to learn, I wouldn't close this opportunity that I had, and I missed this. But I'm grateful for this opportunity to learn, and I believe that this has been helpful to one or most of us. I believe it has been helpful to all of us, and so I thank Coach Samuel, Charity for this opportunity, and also to encourage our friends on the call that TPC is a platform for us to grow, to learn, to connect, have meaningful relationships, to unlearn so many things about us for our wholesome growth and development. So I'm encouraging you to come and join us. I shared a link here, and I've shared it once again so that we can use it to join TPC and have more time to discuss with our mentors like Coach Diana and so many others. You realize that we don't have enough time, and that's why we have those extra sessions that benefit our members. So, friends, thank you so much for joining the call. But I want to give Coach Diana a time to make conclusive remarks. But as she does that, there is something that was important, which we had, which she had actually, that I would want and request that she concludes with, and it's talking about it's talking about the it's talking about a 10, that from 10, or it's talking about a long-term perspective that we would have to think about all these things, probably from 10 or 20 years from now. What kind of professional success would truly feel meaningful if evaluated alongside family relationships? As she wraps up, 10 or 20 years from now, what kind of professional success would truly feel meaningful if evaluated alongside family and relationships? As she wraps up and as she concludes. Thank you so much, Coach.
Thank you, Keith. If we're looking at the long-term perspective, the sad reality, friends, is that your title at work will belong to someone else, and your family will be irreplaceable. Your role at home is definitely irreplaceable. And the greatest professional achievement is to be deeply respected by those who know you best. That's what I can comment on that. So, yeah, in summary. And just like we have seen today, family relationships are not separate from professional success. They shape it. And like the few research insights and facts that I shared with you, we saw that strong family relationships improve emotional regulation, they improve resilience and long-term performance. We also saw that toxic stress at home weakens decision making. It increases your stress and attacks your mental health. So toxic work cultures, most likely you'll find that the people there are hurt, and most likely the hurt is coming from, the wounds are coming from family. So it is a cycle. The two are inseparable and they can work best together when they are integrated. So the question that could be on the table is not really whether the family affects career. It actually does, negatively or positively, depending on which angle you choose to take. So I hope that from this session, you choose to lead your life more intentionally. You become a better leader, first of all, of yourself. Be self-aware, define your values, be clear about your boundaries, and be intentional about your relationships, especially your family. And I know that if we build strong families, we build strong professionals. If we build strong professionals, we build healthier organizations. And the cycle continues, and we have a better country. Who doesn't want to be in a better country. So I want to appreciate you all for listening in. Thank you, TPC, for giving me an opportunity to add value in this space. And I am grateful, and I can again say I am available for extended conversations. I am available for family counseling, but I'm also available for leadership, behavior leadership, coaching, and trainings, and all those services that will help you become a better individual. God bless you all, and enjoy your weekend.
Amen, amen. God bless you too, Coach. Please let's add him some more virtual applause as we appreciate her great service that she has done to all of us. Let me now, at this point in time, invite Coach Samuel to speak to us as he gives conclusive remarks as we conclude. Thank you so much. And God bless you.
All right. Thank you so much, team, for the great session. Very insightful. I've been learning myself here. I just want to say thank you so much, Coach Diana. I know when I reached out to Coach Diana about this topic, she gave me a yes immediately. And why? Because she's very passionate about family. It's also very timely that Valentine just ended, but also family is also an important aspect that is losing attention. So the world has moved on. There's a lot of things. We are so much busy about many things that we are not giving family attention. So I just want to say thank you so much to everyone who has come through to this session. It shows meaning of how you value family. And I'm also glad that you've been part of the session up to the end of it. So thank you so much. And may the seeds that have been planted by Coach Diana manifest to greater fruits. So thank you so much. And thank you so much, Keith, for moderating the session. I always love the sessions that you moderate because you do this with enthusiasm. So thank you so much. So from myself and the team at TPC, we just want to appreciate you and say, may God bless you. We welcome members to join TPC. Keith just shared the link within the chat box. We still have our discount where you can pay 250,000 and be able to be part of a private community where we have access to extra mentorship and programs. We also want to communicate that we have an upcoming public speaking mentorship, public speaking and communication skills mentorship that is starting on the 4th of March. So thanks so much to all those that have subscribed. So make sure that you don't miss in building your key skill, which is the public speaking. So I want to give back to you, Keith. Thank you for the opportunity.
Yeah, thank you so much, Coach. It was indeed wonderful to hear from you. It was very important. Indeed, those are the key insights you've shared about how members can be able to tap into the different resources that TPC has would have been missed. So thank you so much for that information. And to inform members that you have these weekly meetings every week. And so please ensure that you join TPC. It's very good for you and you'll never regret. Thank you so much. As we conclude, I'd appreciated the coach and all members who have been able to wait until the end. It's always easy to start, but to end is not always easy. But I know we are beyond time, which is another sense of appreciation and value that we are appreciating you and that you attach a very strong value to your personal growth, but to also the services that TPC provides to us. I thank you so much. And how I pray that this time that you've invested in this will not give back the value that you deserve. May God bless you. Thank you so much.